Sean Connery passed away at age 90 in October of 2020. He left behind his wife of more than 4 decades, Micheline Roquebrune, whom he met in 1970 and married 5 years later. Many words have been used to describe the kind of man Connery was. He was often described as charismatic, debonair, and suave. At one point, he was deemed the sexiest man of the century. But his reputation, however, isn't entirely glowing. His ex-wife, Diane Cilento, claims that Sean once said he thought it was perfectly acceptable to hit women. Throughout his life, Connery had numerous passionate love affairs with some of the most beautiful women of his time. Keep watching to find out who those women were. Carole Sopel. This dark-haired beauty with the figure of a ballerina was best known for being one of Sean Connery's lovers in the mid-50s. Connery and Sopel started dating during production of South Pacific. While things started off passionate for the two, Sopel's Jewish family wasn't approving of Connery and tried to chase him off. Regardless of how her family felt about him, Sean was absolutely madly in love with Sopel. He even asked her to marry him. But after Sopel took her parents' advice and turned him down, their relationship quickly crumbled. Julie Hamilton. Julie was the daughter of famed feminist and documentarian Jill Craigie. It's known that Hamilton and Connery were romantically involved for a lengthy time. For nearly a year, Hamilton was Sean's live-in girlfriend, but fascinatingly, it said she wasn't even attracted to him in the beginning. Hamilton later said that her first impressions of Connery were less than stellar. She called him a yob and a terrible bore, but as their paths continued to cross, she grew to find him quite likable and charming. After they started dating, the two were inseparable. Hamilton found Connery to be a bit old-fashioned, but she loved how gentle and kind he was to her. One morning, however, Hamilton woke up beside Connery to hear him describing how beautiful his Anna Christie co-star, Diane Cilento's eyes were. She leapt out of bed and asked him point-blank if he still loved her. Not one to mince his words, Connery replied, confirming he no longer loved her like he used to. Broken-hearted, Hamilton gathered up her things and left to go cry at her parents' house for several days. Maxine Daniels. Connery fell in love with this jazz singer almost immediately after locking eyes with her at the Empire Theater. He did his best to win her over, but she made it clear she was happily married with a baby daughter. Needless to say, their relationship never went anywhere. Diane Cilento. This Australian actress shared the screen with Connery in 1957's Anna Christie. She later appeared alongside him in 1967's You Only Live Twice, doubling for Mia Hama during the film's underwater cave sequence. Cilento was perhaps best known, however, for her Oscar-nominated performance in Tom Jones. In 1962, she and Connery exchanged wedding vows. Their marriage started off blissful enough, at least from the outside, but in time, they started experiencing troubles. In 1971, the two separated, and 2 years later, they divorced. Decades later, Cilento revealed Connery had been physically and verbally abusive to her. Connery reportedly said he felt like hitting women wasn't that big of a deal, especially if she was hysterical, or as he put it, quote, bloody-minded continually. Cilento's acting career saw a steep decline in the years she was married to Connery, but at least one good thing came of their relationship. They had a son together, Jason Connery. Jill St. John. This actress is best known for playing the diamond smuggler and love interest of James Bond, Tiffany Case, in the film Diamonds Are Forever. During filming, the two were reported to have been dating. At the time, Connery was separated from his first wife, Diane Cilento, but their divorce had yet to be finalized. Lana Wood. This former Bond girl also had an affair with Connery. Lana was the younger sister of Natalie Wood and played Plenty O'Toole in Diamonds Are Forever. Sean evidently made the first move, as Lana was a bit more reserved. For their first date, they went out to dinner, met up with a few of his friends, and went for a walk. They reportedly started hooking up before filming Diamonds Are Forever had even begun. Both parties didn't want the public to know about the relationship, so when they had to film their love scenes together, they had to do their best to give good performances without being too convincing. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Tap the join button to become a FactsVerse member. You'll get access to an exclusive and regularly updated library of videos too risque for YouTube. Carole Mallory. Mallory first met Connery at a dinner date arranged for them by a producer friend who was visiting Manhattan. Years later, Mallory told reporters she and Connery spent the night together and continued to see each other on a few more occasions. But since they were both married and hated sneaking around to meet up, their affair eventually ended. Mallory said Connery had little respect for women, but she was at least able to get a meal out of him. Even more surprising is what Mallory said about her and Connery's bedroom escapades. She said he was the worst in bed and didn't leave a very, quote, big impression. Magda Konopa. This Polish actor and model was romantically involved with Connery for a short time. It's reported that she flirted with Sean and spent a few evenings with him in Porto Rotundo. Lynsey de Paul. Best known for her hit pop songs like Won't Somebody Dance With Me and Sugar Me, de Paul and Connery had a brief yet highly publicized affair in the 1980s. At first, she didn't want to have an affair with him and did her best to keep their relationship platonic, but Lynsey says Connery pressured her relentlessly before she gave in. She wasn't normally attracted to macho men like him, but she saw his softer side, a man who wrote poetry, quoted Robbie Burns, and even penned his own ballet. Since she didn't know his wife, de Paul didn't feel like she was betraying her by having an affair with Sean. Soon enough, however, their relationship came to an abrupt end. Lynsey later bitterly regretted having her affair with Connery due to his views towards domestic violence. She never saw his violent side firsthand, but when she learned that Connery thought it was okay to hit women, she was nothing short of shocked and appalled. Micheline Roquebrune. Connery was separated from his first wife, Diane Cilento, when he first met Roquebrune at a golf tournament in 1970. He got married to the French-Moroccan painter in 1975. Their marriage survived Connery's affair with Lynsey de Paul, and Roquebrune remained by his side for 45 years. Connery's death. Connery died in his sleep on Halloween of 2020 at age 90. He was at his home at Linford Cay community of Nassau in the Bahamas. His son said that Sean had been unwell for quite some time. The following day, Michelle Roquebrune revealed Connery had been battling dementia for the last several years. His death certificate listed his cause of death as pneumonia and cardiopulmonary failure, with dementia as the underlying cause. While Sean will always be remembered for his iconic role as 007 and for being a charismatic sex symbol, his legacy is still somewhat tarnished by his unsavory views on violence towards women. Now it's time to hear from you. Which one of these affairs was most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.